And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Hello, I'm National Weather Service meteorologist Peter Chan with your Alaska Aviation Weather Outlook on this Friday, May 16th, 2025. And starting on this Friday, this outlook will be for Saturday into Sunday, but as of this Friday later morning, we do have an area of low pressure over the northern Gulf. It's providing areas of rain throughout the Panhandle along the Gulf Coast. And that'll be with us even into Saturday, though the precipitation should become more showery in nature as it weakens for Saturday. Overall, though, across areas of the West Coast, Southwest Coast into the interior, the pattern is weak but unsettled. There will be the potential with the daytime heating especially of some scattered rain and snow showers popping up, but no really big organized storms or winds to cause a lot of turbulence or widespread areas of icing, at least there in the interior. And overall, this pattern is going to persist through the weekend and into next week. But we do find areas of IFR out over the western northern Gulf up into Yakutat, areas of the Copper River Basin could be IFR Saturday morning, also along the Yukon from Nome down along the YK deltas into Bristol Bay, and especially across the lower Bering back through the western central Aleutians, as well as along areas of the Arctic coast, especially Utqiagvik through Kaktovik. We may find some lower ceilings, lower stratus, and perhaps some areas of fog. Saturday afternoon, still IFR conditions along the northern northwestern Gulf, just off and along the Kenai coast outside of Yakutat. Again, IFR conditions along the Beaufort Sea, down along the Chukchi Sea coastlines, down through the Bering Strait, areas just offshore of the southwest, and then again, especially up along areas of the Aleutians, central western Aleutians. And for Sunday, a continuation of some IFR conditions here across areas of the northern western Gulf, perhaps the eastward facing slopes here of the Alaska Range, especially as you get down toward Merrill and Lake Clark passes. Along the Arctic coast, Beaufort Sea coast, more IFR, Chukchi Sea, Norton Sounds, Kotzebue Sounds, including the Seward Peninsula, lower Yukon Delta, St. Lawrence Island, and also the areas of the southeast Bering, including lower parts of the Alaska Peninsula and all throughout the Aleutian chain. Sunday afternoon, areas of the interior, generally VFR, but there could be some scattered showers that pop up with the daytime heating. We have pockets of IFR, again, in areas of the upper Copper River Basin. We find areas of IFR lingering northern and western Gulf, especially just east there of Kodiak Island, up along the spine and north side of the Brooks Range, central western Brooks Range into the Bering Strait, and then a broad area of IFR conditions, weak low pressure out that way, causing widespread IFR conditions with those lower ceilings out across much of the Bering, including St. Matthew, St. Paul, down into the eastern Aleutians and out toward the western half of the Aleutians. Now, past conditions Saturday are looking VFR up there in the east central Brooks Range, Anatuvik, as well as at Adigan passes. Coming down along the west arm of the Alaska Range, Lake Clark and Merrill should generally hold on to MVFR conditions during the day Saturday. As we round up to Rainy Pass, MVFR. Though Windy Pass east through Isabel Pass should generally see VFR conditions there for Saturday. Further east, Mentasta Pass may start out IFR in the morning on Saturday, becoming VFR through the pass, but areas south of the south entrance up there through the northern portion of the Copper River Basin, holding on to MVFR conditions after starting out IFR early in the day. Tanita Pass, MVFR conditions becoming VFR, and Portage Pass is generally looking MVFR, becoming VFR within the pass, but along the east entrance out toward Prince William Sound, MVFR conditions will hold. And right now it looks like in that upper portion of the northern Panhandle, Chilkoot and White should generally hold on to MVFR conditions during the day on Saturday. So freezing levels, the surface freezing line Saturday morning runs from eastern Russia down into the northern Bering between St. Matthew and St. Paul, coming back up along the west Seward coastline, and then coming in along the south side of the Brooks Range north of the Yukon River. And as far as freezing levels aloft, we do have warmer air aloft, 6,000 feet as you get out more toward north central Canada. And then behind me here, we also have Freezing levels aloft, rising upwards of 6,000 to 8,000 feet along and just west-southwest of the western Aleutians around Shimia, Attu Islands. And then as we look at the potential for icing, with the weak low-pressure frontal system out this way, we could find some icing above 8,000 and 10,000 feet out there in the western half of the Aleutians. Otherwise, back here through the southeast, that'll be the next area where we have lingering showers Saturday. So there's pretty good areas of rain this Friday. Those will begin to become more showery in nature during the day Saturday. And there could be some moderate icing in some of those there within and outside of Yakutat Bay, out through a good portion of the central southern panhandle, and generally above 8,000 feet. And as I mentioned, there's the potential for some scattered rain and snow showers developing throughout areas of the interior, a broad swath from areas of the western mainland into the interior, and those would generally be above 6,000 feet. Now, jet stream level winds, we do have a jet core above 100 knots in the North Pacific, south of the Gulf, and just southwest there of Vancouver Island. And off to the far west, we do have a bit of a jet core get up above 100 knots, but that's well southwest of the western Aleutians. If we bring things down to 9,000 feet, pretty quiet wind field over the mainland. So this is about 700 millibars over the Bering Sea, not a lot of movement there in the mid-levels. And then at 3,000 feet, definitely lighter winds, relatively speaking, than what we've seen for some time. We've had some rather stronger systems for May that been out across the Bering and come up into the Gulf, but at least right now we're not looking at any really notable strong winds Saturday throughout the Gulf Coast, Panhandle, mainland, extending down along the Alaska Peninsula into the Aleutians. A little bit of a southwest flow, maybe aloft there at 3,000 feet of 35 knots. So as a general rule, there is no significant turbulence expected Saturday for a broad area of the state. Doesn't mean there can be a few isolated pockets, but overall, no systems that are strong enough to produce widespread areas like we typically see. And this is kind of more of the case as we head out of later spring into early summer. This tends to be the time of year where the weather systems are a bit more benign. But as I mentioned, generally speaking, a weak pattern, but with some instability, so there's still that potential, with the greatest threat of some rain along the Gulf Coast into the Panhandle this Friday and lingering into Saturday, and then throughout weekend areas of the West Coast extending into the interior could see some scattered rain or snow showers.